Welcome to Anti-Woke and Autistic. I am really fed up, no pun intended, of fat acceptance, pumping out that mantra over and over and over. Diets don't work, diets don't work, diets don't work. Diets work. What doesn't work is people who fail, quit, and give up. The fat acceptance community keeps posting content that diets don't work. No, diets don't work if you fail at them. That doesn't mean that the concept of losing weight in a safe, effective manner, in a sustainable manner, does not work. Well, here's yet another Instagram post. Why am I tempted to diet again, even knowing that diets don't work? Who says diets don't work? People who fail at doing something say that it doesn't work. It could be anything in life, anything you name it. When people fail, they say whatever they failed at doesn't work, instead of recognizing that the true failure comes from that person who did not do it correctly. This post continues. Unfortunately, dieting simply doesn't work. Says who? People fail, not the diet. This post continues. Unfortunately, dieting simply doesn't work, and we all know this. The only sustainable path forward is to work on accepting ourselves as we are and to focus on the things that will actually make us happier and healthier. Dieting isn't going to do that for us, and that's why we shouldn't give in to the temptations to go back, meaning go back to dieting. First of all, again, I can't say this enough. It's not the diet that fails, it's the person who fails. They don't want to admit that they screwed up. If you go back to your old eating habits, which made you fat in the first place, that doesn't mean the diet failed. What's wrong with people? And I'm not talking about crazy gimmicky dieting like a vegetable juice diet or cutting out most food groups or eating only cabbage soup or something like that. I'm talking about portion control. Calories in versus calories out. It's a matter of thermodynamics, portion control. Yeah, okay, so some approaches may emphasize more protein, fewer carbs, or a near elimination or a complete elimination of ultra processed foods. But overall, when you get right down to it, it's calories in versus calories out. Now, unfortunately, dieting simply doesn't work. There is absolutely no evidence of that. What doesn't work is when people quit the diet. And of course, it's not going to work. If you quit something, it's not going to work. It's like saying brushing teeth doesn't help prevent cavities. Now, before you say people brush their teeth 3 times a day and they'll still get cavities or gum disease, no, if you brush your teeth a few times a day and if you use dental floss, that will go a very long way at preventing problems with your teeth and gums, and any dentist will tell you that. Now, if people are doing that consistently, they'll have good oral health, and then if they stop doing that, and then they suddenly develop receding gums, gum disease, bad breath, other issues, cavities, and they say, well, brushing your teeth and flossing doesn't work. You see, I've got cavities now and I've got gum disease and other issues. That's because you stopped brushing your teeth. You stopped flossing. Of course, you're going to develop problems. Same with dieting. When it comes to calories in, calories out, and portion control, if you stop the diet, of course you're going to gain the weight back. How difficult is that to grasp? And again, when I say diet, I don't mean a fad diet. I don't mean a starvation diet. I don't mean eating only one tiny meal a day. I don't mean some kind of fasting diet. I'm simply talking about a reduction in calories. Even, something, there are people who have lost a lot of weight with portion control without eliminating ultra processed foods. And I'm not saying you should eat ultra processed foods, but the law of thermodynamics, if you normally eat 5 or 6,000 calories a day and you're fat, and you simply go down to, let's say, 2,000 calories a day, and you stick with it, you're going to lose weight, even though you may be eating the same proportions of ultra carbs, ultra processed carbs, proteins, fats, macronutrients, etc. But if you put yourself in a caloric deficit of about 3,000 calories a day, because you normally eat 5,000 calories and now you're down to around 2,000, you're going to have a caloric deficit every week of 3,000 times 7 or 21,000 calories. You're going to lose just on the caloric deficit. And if you go back to 5,000 calories a day, the diet didn't fail. You failed. Why don't people get that? So now it says the only sustainable path forward is to work on accepting ourselves as we are. Do you know what that means? Accepting yourself as you are when you're obese or morbidly obese. That means accepting your eating disorder, your compulsive overeating disorder, or your binge eating disorder. What would you think if somebody with anorexia nervosa, such as Eugenia Cooney, said something like, well, we're going to accept ourselves as we are. Skeletal, 65, 70 pounds. I'm just going to accept myself as I am. I'm not going to seek help. I'm going to give up trying to gain weight. I'm just going to continue looking like a skeleton. What if somebody like Eugenia Cooney said that? The fat acceptance community would be outraged. They would be urging her, no, don't give up. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't give up. You've got to gain weight or you're going to die. But what if somebody with anorexia nervosa said, well, a diet to gain weight doesn't work. Every time I try a diet to gain weight, I just can't gain the weight. Or when I do gain 10 or 15 pounds, I always lose it back. I always lose it. Therefore, an attempt to gain weight doesn't work for me. I always relapse and go back to my anorexic starvation ways. Therefore, I'm going to give up on trying to gain weight and I'm just going to accept my 69-pound body as it is and just try to be happy. What would you fat acceptance people think if you heard an anorexic say something like that? You'd be outraged. You'd be urging her to get help. So why then do you feel the opposite when it comes to obesity, especially morbid obesity? By saying accepting ourselves as we are, that translates to accepting your overeating disorder, your binge eating disorder, your compulsive overeating disorder, your disorder of overeating food, especially the wrong types of food like processed, ultra processed foods, as a result of inappropriate cues to eat, such as you're being offered to eat food, you're being offered food and you're taking it even though you're not hungry. You're eating due to some trigger or stimulus, such as depression, stress, boredom, working at your computer, reading, socializing, watching TV. You're not willing to fix that. You just want to accept it, accepting your inappropriate eating. What the heck? And to focus on the things that will actually make us happier and healthier. Who are you to dictate that some obese, morbidly obese woman out there should just give up, accept her 280-pound body, 320-pound body as it is, and that's the only way she'll be happier and healthier? Who are you to make that declaration? Are you her doctor? Now, that's another popular saying among fat acceptance when they get offended when somebody says obesity can never be healthy. You can never be healthy when you're obese. They'll say, are you my doctor? Or if the comment's about somebody else, are you her doctor? It cuts both ways. These people, these fat acceptance people, act like they're doctors when they spew out all of this medical misinformation. Who are they to declare that a fat person is going to be healthier if they accept themselves as they are, meaning stop trying to lose weight? You are not going to be healthier at 300 pounds compared to yourself at 200 pounds, compared to yourself at 180 pounds. I mean, who do these fat acceptance people think they are? They're not doctors, they're not nurses. You don't even need to be a doctor or a nurse. This is common sense. It's information you can find in any medical pamphlet, any pamphlet in a medical facility. It's information you can find on reputable medical sites such as Johns Hopkins, MayoClinic.com, ClevelandClinic.com. Ask your primary care physician. It's dangerous to be overweight. It's just as dangerous to be overweight. Now, I'm talking about obesity as it is to be very underweight. Now, the medical complications of obesity aren't identical to the medical complications of severe underweight, but both conditions kill people. But obesity is far more common than anorexia nervosa. And that's a fact. Fat acceptance they would go through the roof if anorexics like Eugenia Cooney started pumping out all sorts of content on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, urging anorexics to stop trying to gain weight. And it's a well known fact that many anorexics struggle to gain weight. It's as difficult for them to gain weight and get back into a medically acceptable weight range. It's just as difficult for them to do that as it is for fat people to lose weight and get into a medically acceptable range of weight. It's difficult for anorexics to gain weight for a variety of reasons. They acknowledge their illness, they want to get better, they want to gain weight, but it's difficult for them. What if they decided to just give up and preach, well, diets to gain weight fail? It's a struggle. So I'm just going to accept myself the way I am, all 72 pounds of me on a 5'6" frame, and that's the only way I could be happier and healthier. Fat acceptance, and I know I sound like a broken record, but fat acceptance would be screaming about that. All right, so the end of this thing here says dieting isn't going to do that for us, meaning being healthier. Oh, it sure as heck will. If all you eat is junk food and you're 280 pounds, a 280-pound woman, and all you eat is junk food, and all you do is cut your caloric intake in half or in a third. So let's say you're eating 6,000 calories a day of junk food, processed food, ultra processed food, and you cut back to 2,000 calories a day, but it's still nothing but junk food, Twinkies, fast food, just ultra processed foods. You will be healthier simply because you will lose weight. Your heart will have to pump blood to less mass. There will be reduced strain on your heart as a result of that. A first grader could understand this stuff. If you're fat, your heart is pumping for much more mass than it was designed to. It's going to overstrain the heart, even while you sleep. If you lose weight and you're still eating nothing but junk food, you're still going to be healthier because you're carrying around less weight. Your knees are going to have less strain on them. Your feet are going to have less strain. You'll be less likely, it's all relative, less likely to develop type 2 diabetes, less likely to have other obesity related issues such as miscarriages, infertility, gestational diabetes, certain cancers, problems with mobility, back pain, stroke, issues with the cardiovascular system. Gravity exists. Come on, this is first grade stuff. Gravity exists. Gravity is the reason you will be healthier at 150 pounds versus 300 pounds, even if you're still eating the same types of food, of course, in smaller quantities. We shouldn't give in to the temptation to go back. Actually, you should. You should. And you should figure out why you keep failing. It's like, you know something? What if smokers kept saying, well, I'm going to give up trying to quit smoking because smoking cessation doesn't work. Smoking cessation, nicotine patches, hypnotism, quitting cold turkey, smoking support groups trying to quit smoking. Somebody says, well, I've tried it all. Support groups for smoking. I just can't quit smoking. Therefore, I'm just going to give up, accept myself the way it is, keep on smoking, and that's the only way I will be happier and healthier. Do you realize how absolutely insane and stupid that is? But that's the same logic behind fat people giving up dieting because they think dieting doesn't work. The only reason dieting has not worked for you is because you gave up and you probably tried a diet that is not sustainable, such as cutting out all bread, cutting out all potatoes, and cutting out all pasta. You feel very deprived and you get irritable, and then you miss those favorite foods of yours so much that you start eating them again, and you're overeating them, and you're overeating them again, and each day you're blowing your diet. Before you know it, you've gained the weight back, and then you say the diet failed. No, the diet didn't fail. You failed, like a smoker who keeps trying to quit, and they fail at doing that. Like there's that saying, quitting smoking is easy. I've quit hundreds of times. A person who wants to quit smoking should keep trying, and never give up. A person who wants to gain weight, if they're anorexic, should never give up. They should keep trying, right? You would agree with that. Same with drinking. If somebody has a drinking problem, they're an alcoholic, they should keep trying to get sober. They should keep trying to quit drinking. They should never give up. What would you think if they said, well, I'm going to give up trying to stop drinking and I'm just going to accept my alcoholism because that's the only way I can be happier and healthier? That would sound outrageous. That would be insane. That would be insanity. Yet here you are, these fat acceptance people. Well, we should just stop trying to lose weight. You sound absolutely insane. It's delusion. It's insanity. It's no different than an alcoholic or a smoker or a gambler for that matter or an anorexic giving up because they keep failing to be successful at their goals. Anyways, that's all I have to say for this video. Have a wonderful day.